Hello televiewers, good evening and welcome to another edition of Prime Hour on My Media Prime. This day in Yaoundé, under the chairmanship of His Excellency, His Royal Majesty Chief Dr. Dion Ngute, the Prime Minister of Cameroon, presided over a meeting of the follow-up committee for the implementation of the recommendations arrived at the major national dialogue that took place October last year in Yaoundé. We are going to be looking at what possibly might have transpired in Yaoundé today, equally looking at other topics touching on our national life, especially with the presidential decree yesterday fixing the numbers of delegates as per the respective divisions that make up Cameroon with respect to the upcoming regional elections to effect the creation of the regional assemblies that are going to be assisting in defining the destinies of our respective regions, 10 regions of Cameroon. We are going to be discussing on this with our panelists who are already in the house. Prince Joel Mukage is a journalist who is here with us. Good evening, Prince, and welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Leo. Good evening to those watching My Media Prime, specifically Prime R. Good evening to those watching within and without Cameroon. It's always a privilege to be part and parcel of refined personalities that you've invited today. We want to feel that when you call some of us, it's because the media has that power to fix, the media has that power to spoil. That's why we have the opportunity.
Okay, we are not here to spoil, we are here to fix, because we want an emerging Cameroon. Also with us is Tamai Jarvis. Good evening, Jarvis, and welcome.
Good evening, Leonard. Good evening to all those who are watching us, and a special good evening to the head of state, the President of the Republic.
His Excellency President Paul Biya, Chief of Armed Forces.
If you take out that one, it's not the same thing.
Also with us is, I don't know whether to call him barrister or doctor, Ako John Ako. He is here with us. He is a political activist, a civil society activist, and an educationist par excellence. Good evening and welcome. Yeah.
Years after independence, the Cameroonian democratic landscape still very uncertain, with powers being concentrated on the hands of a super ruler. It is on this note that we are here today at all to talk on some basic issues with the new institution, the regional assemblies or the House of Representatives, as it is called in other circles. So it is a pleasure being once more on Prime Media to express or share our opinion.
Also with us this evening is Edmond Kwate. He is an international economist. Bonsoir et bienvenue.
Merci, merci Léo, et merci à tout le monde. Merci à tous ceux qui ont pris la parole avant moi. C'est toujours un plaisir de répondre à votre invitation. Merci.
How has it been today?
Well, things are cool. I mean, we're here and then we're glad to be here today again.
Okay, just to say that those of you watching us from Bamenda, our hearts are out there with you. It has not been easy since Monday, with very thunderous gunshots, according to the videos that are coming out from Bamenda, Northwest Regional Capital today. We know it's not easy. We pray that things are brought to normalcy so that you can once again live your normal life in Bakwa, the hilltop city. We are going to start. I start with you, Prince Joel Mukage, and we are starting with the presidential decree that was issued yesterday, to say that it is very clear that regional elections are around the corner. Going by the presidential decree of yesterday.
Yeah, sure, Mr. Leo. Regional elections is an offshoot of the major national dialogue. Because many persons felt that maybe if regional delegates come to play, it is going to maybe reduce the tension that is ongoing in the northwest and the southwest region of Cameroon. But permit me say, Mr. Leo, that when you look at because those who are supposed to vote, the delegates of the regions, there are two persons. One, municipal councillors and traditional rulers. Now, when you look at it, first of all, in the northwest and the southwest region, the whole of Bamenda, the only council that is owned by an opposition political party is Bamenda 3. The whole northwest is owned by the CPDM, except somebody proves me wrong. In the southwest region, it's almost the same case. Now, when you have, since municipal councillors are supposed to vote these delegates, it means that in the whole northwest region, if we are honest, we should be having an absolute majority delegate of the CPDM. And another issue is the fact that traditional rulers as of now, we will not feel that maybe they are not what they used to be, but want to feel that a majority have joined politics. And because they've joined politics, they may not be as objective as they used to be.
As independent.
Yeah. As independent, thank you for the word. So they will not be as independent as they used to be. Some are politicians, and given that the head of state at one time even gave them a salary, they want to feel that no, you need to give the head of state the impression that no, in my own area, I'm with you. So when you look at it, well, Mr. Liu, in the regional elections that is upcoming, because it's not a doubt, it's already fixed. Because once the president says it will be, it will be. It's not something that is a doubt, which means if there are some persons who feel that it will not, it must be. Now, when you look at it at the end of the day, you will discover that municipal councillors in the northwest, southwest, and in other regions, at the end of the day, a majority are CPDM. Now, when you want to give a kind of a general view about it, you will discover that in the whole of Cameroon, in Littoral, for instance, it is maybe in the Sanaga Maritime, where maybe Kabralibi of the PCRN may have a few delegates, maybe in the Noon, in the West region, where the UDC of Adamun Damdrea may have some delegates, maybe in the far north. Now, when you look at it, it's something that at the end of the day, Mr. Leo, we are not solving a problem, because the delegates were supposed to be like persons who are coming to solve a long-lasting problem. But given that a majority of these municipal councillors were voted during a period where there was a crisis in the northwest and the southwest, a majority of these persons were voted either by civil servants or men in uniform. Now, at the end of the day, the same cause is producing the same effect. And when you look at it, you will discover that we are producing the same result that was caused by the same effect. And
my question to you is the fact that elections are going to hold.
That is what I said, as the head of state has said. President Paul Biya said there's elections. Come rain, come shine, except he goes the contrary. There will be elections. It's not a doubt. He is the #1 citizen of Cameroon. As he says there is election, it's not a thing to think about. Yeah. There will be elections in Cameroon.
Okay. When this decree came out yesterday, even after an ultimatum had been given that if elections are held, something else was going to happen in Cameroon. When the decree came out fixing modalities for participation, especially with how much delegates were going to receive, an amount that was fixed at 50,000 francs, and then fixing the numbers as per the respective divisions. You already saw regional elections in the horizon.
Leonard, I think seeing it yesterday was not just more of a miracle, but it was something previewed, because we already know that regional elections were to hold. If we go by the electoral law, we have modalities of regional election in the electoral law, and in the election booklet, there are modalities of the regional election. So it's just coming late. The only issue here is that the regional election is just coming late if we look at the landscape. But to be very honest with you, I want to say that I fear the future of some political parties or some NGOs as far as this regional election is concerned, because the ultimatum given as far as regional election is concerned, I think what will become of these NGOs of the political parties if the regional election is to be organized hitch-free and eventually run and the regional delegates are elected and take over command. We have seen a series of alliances in recent days from the different political parties without representative from the parliament or not even a council, agitating that if the elections are to be held, they will go for peaceful demonstration as far as the ongoing Anglophone crisis is not resolved, pending into the fact that to them the regional elections with the Anglophone crisis is of important before the regional election. But the sad thing is that we've seen most of the political parties went in for the presidential election. Some of them went in for the municipal and legislative election, and never did they talk about the Anglophone crisis as previously. Now, if we look at the regional election, it is sure that 100% the elections will hold. They're sure that 100% the election will move on hitch-free.
Okay, so elections are going to move on hitch-free. Yes. Dr. Aku, John Aku, when you look at the distributions of the delegates as per divisions, we find some very tricky allocations here. For example, we find a division like Ja Elobo that is accorded 24 delegates. That is compared with the Fundi division that has close to 2 million persons, that has 9 delegates. And then take the case of the Southwest region. In the Southwest region, you have Fako division is supposed to have 21 plus 3 chiefs, making it 24. When we have a division like Manu with 9 delegates and then 3 chiefs making it. How do we understand this?
Yeah, I want to believe that within Cameroon, those who assisted in the drafting of this particular bill, equally in one way or the other, might have influenced the number of divisional delegates within their own division to which they belong. When you are just coming to something which the first thing I noticed was the question, why the Fako division has more than even 3 times Manu should have, and not within geographical limit, within the zones of the Southwest region. It is not because of the people that live in that region. We talk of how many villages or what composition we have there. Manu and Indian division need to be one of the most vast divisions in the Southwest region, and giving those number to the Fako region, I just think, the Fako division has the highest in the Southwest, followed by the Kmer.
Let me just read it. Fako division has 21 delegates. Coupe Maninguba has 6 departmental delegates. Libya Lema has 6. Manu division has 9. And then Kmer has 15. And Dian has 13. What explains that Coupe Maninguba and Libya Lema has 6. Even if you were to add Coupe Maninguba and Libya Lema, they'll come up to 12. And then if you were to add even Manu,
yes,
you cannot attain Manu. That is Manu.
Libya could not attain the level of Fako. That's why I said the head of state, except otherwise, when things are done the way they are, without specific rules of law that regulate such issues, the next problem we are going to manage in Cameroon will be what were the statistics, what mathematics, who is representing who, by what number. You know, when we went for the senatorial elections, the rules were clear from the constitution that 7 will be voted by the people and 3 will be appointed by the head of state. And everybody knows already that every region will be going to produce at least, if there are 6 divisions or 7 divisions, we know already that we are going to have at least a senator per a division, and the other will have the favor of the prince or the sovereign ruler, which we have in Cameroon, and that is what may give them the second advantage. At the level of what we call regional elections, as I said, if people are thinking that today the head of state has come out with a bill attributing the number to this region, the people too will be thinking already, the CPDM elites are already celebrating that we did a good job, and so this region with the highest will be highly represented, and so an attempt comes to what we call political gains. Those who have assisted the head of state for all this while, others have been looked upon as the most highest contributors to the largesse or the wisdom of the head of state, the people who are highly favored will again think that the head of state has not forgotten about them, and that it is time for them to even kill others so that the civil party can succeed in this particular area. These are some of the issues that happen in Cameroon whenever things are done without a bill regulating it. I believe very strongly that there was going to be first a bill that regulates who represents what and by which number. Now we are talking of chiefs. What chiefs will be represented at the level of the regional councils, and we meet the regional assembly. So if we have to get into all this, there is just looking very near that the problem on the composition of the members of the representative assembly will not all be applauded by every region, and it might come a source of conflict in the few days ahead, even if these regional elections are going to be called. And I see it very strongly that at the 21st century, a country where we have a lot of technocrats around the head of state, highly classified men of profile, Cameroon can still go on messing around without laid down rules. And so we do it by, how can I call, by just the wisdom of the head of state, just to appreciate every region. We don't even know. I said with the senatorial elections we were aware, but now we are getting to the regional assemblies. We are not aware on why one region should have more representatives than another. What they did was just to give 19 delegates per region, and that is just what we had. Now at the level of the various divisions, we don't even know the mathematics that gave one region 3, others 4, others 6. We need to be informed as Cameroonians. These are some of the issues we might be calling on the state minister, the minister of communication, the porte-parole of the government to because the next day to organize a press conference and tell Cameroonians what the head of state did and the spirit of the state of law like Cameroon, we should be informed and not just learn of things or figures which are standard as if they were Pythagorean or algebra.
Briefly, there is from the electoral code, there is a provision that should be page 105 that gives modalities as why some certain divisions have a certain proportion than others, and there is one of the provisions that states that it's taken in terms of population per division, and secondly they say that the head of state in its own benevolence has the prerogative to add 2 or more.
Let us go by.
So I'm just saying it is not. It is like,
no, I said it is not mathematically. It's not expressed.
He's asking where is that coming from? That
let us even go. Let's use more of the prerogative of the head of state.
Let's go by population. Are you saying that
yes,
Faku and Manu and land
so Faku is more populated than Manu?
Okay, but this is a question I'm asking you. Let's take a division like Funzi, a division that has 20 million people in the central region. They are going to have 7 delegates, and then when you look at Ja Elobo,
yeah,
where the president comes from, we have Ja Elobo has 21 delegates, I'm sure, if I'm not mistaken. Yes. How do we understand this? Is it the fact that Central Region has many more divisions than the South?
Leo, there are certain things that you cannot understand in this country. As simple as that. Because I'm surprised if that's the first thing you are saying this type of things. But if you want to understand what I'm saying, if you take the budget, for instance, how the budget is being distributed. If you take only Jailobo, for instance.
Jailobo has the budget that is more than that
of the far north,
of the southwest,
for instance.
The northwest region.
So this is not the first time we've seen this type of things, and like he said, I mean, mathematically you cannot really prove, you cannot demonstrate how they came to this type of figures. You know, whereby you get a division with, less population, but with very high level of high number of delegate. I think this is Cameroon. That's what I would say, because if you are, I want to go into speculations to know what are the criteria they use to allow this number of delegates to this division and give less delegates to other divisions. I think that would give us a lot of headaches. I don't want to go into it. The fact is that, like he said, there was no bill actually that announced, the criteria that will be used actually to allow the number of delegate per divisions per region. At the end of the day, what I realized is that we got 90 delegate per region.
Per region, yeah.
No matter what, we got 90 delegate per regions. That's what.
So the division that can lobby more gets more delegates. Is that what it is?
I don't know if that's the criteria. Lobbying, is it the criteria? I don't know. But what I realize is that you mentioned a fact, and I went through that decree myself yesterday, and I was surprised, and then because I saw some divisions, very little divisions, but very high level of high number of delegates, and then I saw other division that I know, because these are figures we used to work with, you know. But I realized that, you know, there are very little divisions but with very high numbers of delegates. I don't know, I can't tell, you know, because there's no criteria actually that was announced that this is what will be used. He said it's per number of population.
Yeah, based on what is on the electoral code.
Yeah, but
is it respected?
If you were to go by number of
population,
this
will prove you wrong.
Take fully division. He has at least 2 million persons.
Exactly.
Fully. And then Jailobo has not up to
300.
Yes.
300,000.
So how do you justify that? Going by the population?
I'm just showing that the electoral code explains why some divisions. It is not well represented. Therefore,
somebody's not
doing their job, because the electoral code gives us how and why these things are.
Let him land. Let Quartet land.
My problem is that at the end of the day, I think the regional delegates were. I think that was the last step to get into the decentralization. That was the last institutions.
Yes.
Because we already got the Senate, we got the Constitutional Council, and then now we got the regional delegate. I think that was the last step. So if today Cameroon can be proud that we got all the institutions we need to fully get into decentralization, I think we will clap. And if that can finally solve most of the problem we got in this country, like the northwest and southwest crisis, that is fine. Because my problem is, I don't only want us to put in place institutions. What is the purpose of these institutions?
The impact.
The impact on our population. What will be the impact? Are we really going to solve the problem we get in these countries? You know, people are crying day in, day out. People are crying because, you know, their life standard is very low. Are we going to be able to solve the problem of our population using this? That is my question.
Okay.
I hope so.
Good evening to you, J. Mbaku, FM Chair, and to you, Fondong Richard, and good evening to you, Son of Zion, Engineer Derek Kwa, Mbu Bate, Jidu Fonkemji, Asa Stivo, Nju Nyonga, Molo, Mano, and David Chamba, all watching us via social media. I say special greetings to you. Now, these regional delegates are going to also be complemented by the House of Chiefs. We have, for the most part, we have each division is going to present two chiefs for some cases, 3 for some cases, and 4 for. It's going to be an uphill task to be able to select 4 chiefs from within FACO, or 3 chiefs from within the mighty Bui division, and a host of others.
Sure, Mr. Leo, like I said before, what is ongoing now, as they call it, the regional elections, is maybe something that the regime feels that is a way out of the crisis, not only in the Northwest, but across the nation. But now, when you look at it, it's also bringing chiefs on board, because in Southern Cameroon, there's what they call the House of Chiefs that existed in the 1957s. But now, when you look at it, Mr. Lou, it's going to be a very difficult one, like you asked, because what criteria do you use? We have 3 classes of chiefs in Cameroon that earn salaries: first class, second class, third class. Now, when you go to maybe a region, do you decide that you take only a first class or a second class or a third class?
No, they're going to be selected per division.
That's what I'm saying. No, Mr. Leo. Even if you go to yes.
How do you get 3 out of Manu, 3 out of Faku, 3 out of yes?
I'm coming, Mr. Leo. But now I feel that we are living in a time. I will maybe at one time, but we are living in a moment. You know, you don't solve a problem by creating another problem. When you look at since the major national dialogue till date, even this thing called the regional election, it will create another problem, because there are chiefs who may like say no, this is my subordinate. You don't come and maybe you take somebody who is not.
You have to enter the House of Chiefs when I'm still here.
When I'm still here. Somebody who used to be what they call in the Northwest Nchinda. And maybe because of politics, because I know villages where the ministers make chiefs. Now, because that chief is a stooge and is paying allegiance to a minister, now the minister will push the chief now to be part of the delegates. Now, when you look at it, you will discover that the only thing to do, Mr. Liu, is I want to feel that let us not solve problems by creating other problems. What criterion will be used to choose the chiefs? I think that when you go to villages, let me take a case, for instance, in Douala. The Doualas who complain in Bonaberi and in Makepe, okay, that Bamili case, like in Makepe, okay, yes. You discover in Makepe, okay, there is a Bamili chief and a Douala chief. And the Bamili chief seems to have more authority over the Douala chief. Now, if they were to choose a chief in that area, in the region, is it the Bamileke chief who supersedes the Douala chief, and another Bamileke in the West region still becomes chief, and the Douala doesn't become a chief?
Question.
Huh? So yeah, so when you all these things, Mr. Leo, to me, I just feel I've said it and I'm still saying it, that this thing to me, this is not the way to have solved this problem.
Okay, this is not the way to have solved this problem. Now, how do we get what are, according to you, should be the criteria to select the delegates, the normal delegates? Before going to
the chiefs, I think I want to reply, give an introduction to what Prince said as far as the chiefs are concerned. We are not talking about chiefs who don't control villages. For example, when we live in a community like Moya, you have Way Chief in Moya, but he is a chief of the community of Moya. Is not a chief, but from the criteria I've stated is for those who are chiefs in that locality by geographic indigents. So I think we should not get this confused, as the case maybe in Makepe Misoke is not in the western region. So if they are going by that orientation, yes, the chief may seem to have leverage over based on his connections, but we are going by the criteria. The electoral code gives it clear that the first class, second class chiefs sit and vote the chiefs that are to be represented per the division. So it's in the electoral code. So there will be serious politicking among them. It's not like somebody comes and handpick the chiefs. According to the electoral code, it states that first class, second class, and third class chiefs sit and vote the chiefs that are to be represented in the regional election. So let's not get this mixed up. As far as the ball now will be in their court to decide how they do their politics and where they do their politics.
Yes.
To get this to
but what should be the criteria for the
normal delegate to be represented? We all know that we are living in a country where selecting delegate will depend on how much connections you have. But that shouldn't be the case as far as we are struggling to resolve the ongoing crisis. One of the criteria we should give, remember that the electoral code equally states that you are not supposed to be a civil servant to be the regional councillor. Meaning, if you are to be a regional councillor and you are a civil servant, a DA, a police officer, or whatever, you are supposed to let go, and you are not. So, criteria number one, the electoral code has spelled it out that these are people with non-state functions. They don't own any state function, meaning that if you, like some of these chiefs who are on government payroll, if you go by the electoral code, there is now a clash as to what the electoral code is saying, that you must not be a civil servant because you receive money from the state.
Are you a civil servant? Are you saying chiefs are not civil servants?
They receive money.
So the fact that they are the fact that they are receiving money from
they receive money from the state. Now another criteria that is given by the electoral code is that for you to become a regional councillor, you must ensure that you are selected by the people from within the various geographical location by the people, and which to me.
My question is not really to look at all those.
The technicalities.
According
what criterion
to yes, my question is, we are living a context, irrespective of what is written, because the persons who are at the National Assembly today, who may not necessarily be representing the people, went there through the same
those articles.
I get your question. The issue is I just needed to clear this gap because a lot of people may not know. Yes, I know, but a lot of people may not know what are the criteria when they're talking about regional elections.
The fact is we are living a context not only in the southwest and northwest regions. We have serious problems in the littoral region. Sure. We have problems in the far north region. Increasingly, the people of the North, Adamawa, are saying that we want greater representation. Who are these persons that should sit at the regional election? The
people that should sit at the regional election should be people, opinion leaders of this community, selected by the people. Meaning that if we go to mainstream divisions should select those who have been there and whom they know can represent them from the regional perspective. But the question now is, who controls the council? It's a kind of difficult situation to pick, because we are looking at the councillors, representative. So it's difficult. I will not say I have an answer to that.
Okay, I want us to look at the northwest and southwest region. Since regional elections are coming.
Let me just clear that out there, Mr. Leo.
Okay.
When you look at those who are going to be delegates there, you will see that there is a need for primaries within the various parties that are represented in the council within a particular division. And so they go through primaries, then they go through elections normally. And so whose delegates, the parties, whose delegates come out majority during the elections, now are the ones sent to the regional assembly.
Let's look at the northwest and southwest region. We're talking about the issue of the special status. The regional councils are supposed to provide that. He said that according to the document that defines how the special status is going to look like, they say bicameral deliberative body, unlike the other 8 regions. The proposed deliberative body called the Regional Assembly in the Northwest and Southwest regions has 2 houses, the House of Divisional Representatives and the House of Chiefs. The House of Chiefs hinges on that provided for in Article 9 of Law number 61/LW/1 of 26 October 1961 in the Constitution of the Federated West Cameroon States. Bicameral deliberative body, is that going to be anything that the people of the northwest and southwest region should rejoice about going by this?
It is really, it's a pity. Before, in fact, when I read the law on regional assemblies, I was a bit getting bored, because I realized the government was trying to take us back to 1961 and coming above what they did in 1972. Remember when President Mamadou Ayijo gathered or joined the various assemblies into a congress in 1972, I mean precisely 14th of May 1972, he told Cameroonians that the expenditure was too much and there was no need for this country to host 4 different assemblies or 3 different assemblies with a House of Chiefs that was existing in this particular part. This particular reading again here gave me an opinion that those who are writing it are about presenting to Southern Cameroonians that since the chiefs now are going to own what we call the House of Chiefs in Southern Cameroon, the Northwest and the Southwest, is taking us back to 1961, and that the 1961 House of Chiefs is going to come to light. But when you look at the composition of those who make up the House of Chiefs, it is what is again disturbing, because like we just said here, we are going to have 3 chiefs from Manu Division. You might have 3 from Fako and the others, and now we have how many of them together? There are 6 divisions in the whole of the Southwest region. We are going to have about 18 chiefs to sit as a House of Chiefs. How does this representation get into feeding all the difficulties of the people within a particular area? Yes, they have created a House of Chiefs. How will this solve the people's problem? We are going to have problems, first of all, because some of those chiefs, like we just said here, will not really represent the people regarding the number of people who are already viewed by the law. 3 per division to me relatively very, very small to maybe carry up the voices of the people and the witches or whatsoever that the people
don't you think, even if let's take the case of the Southwest region, if we have 3 by 6 comes up to 18.
18, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, don't you think that if 18 chiefs say this is not happening, that could have
of the 18, don't forget the ruling party chiefs, eh?
Good. So these are the things I never wanted to come to it, because when you go today, why are most of the chiefs out of their divisions? They were crying the other 2 weeks ago that they need to go back. The government should accompany them. If chiefs are no longer within their divisions, it means that they have lost control or legitimacy over their own people. And more to it, the creation of the regional chiefs now, that only 18 of them will be represented. You look upon that these particular chiefs will look upon themselves as those that have received favor from the head of state. To which extent will they represent their people in the honesty or in the spirit of the law which has just been provided? We need to be honest. If at all, why not equally put chiefs to be voted by their people, to represent them, that the chiefs to be voted, not by any other mathematics. Every village or every division, every subdivision, because in Manu we have about 4 different divisions, and if you are going to send 3 chiefs, which subdivision will accept his own chief to go ahead rather than the other? And so the division that will not be represented. What becomes of his fate and his own difficulties within his own constituency? There is going to be an imbalance. There was a need for this government really to go by, if it is democracy, democracy should go for all. Those chiefs that are interested to be represented at the level of the divisional assemblies should equally go in and bid campaign for the whole division, and then increase the representation so that at least the law can make it as a condition with at least a chief from a particular constituency. Okay. This will obviously come to revive some of the minds and the worries of various factions within the particular region, or why not the national territory.
Good evening to you, Julius Chofo, Kaylan Smith Hoffman, Posh Zamani Leo, and to you, Bayangi Pikin, Edith Atem. Good evening to all of you watching us across the globe. And Edmond Kwate, the collegial executive body, the executive council, is going to comprise. The executive body does not boil down to the president of the regional council alone, as happens in the 8 other regions. They are trying to give what is specific to the Northwestern. It says it reflects the model of the executives in force in countries that follow the British parliamentary tradition. It is a true executive council comprising 1 a president, 1 a vice president, 1 a commissioner in charge of economic development, 1 commissioner in charge of health and social development, 1 commissioner in charge of education, now sports and cultural development, 2 secretaries, and 1 quaestor. The collegial executive is under the control of the deliberative body, which is in particular endowed with the impeachment procedure. Beautifully described. Sure. Yes. Would this deliver? Sure. Are they going to deliver?
Well, I think if we if you put aside all this literature, the purpose here.
Literature.
Yeah.
So, you call it literature?
Yeah, I call it literature.
Okay. That's correct.
You know, because we are in Cameroon. The first question we got to ask ourselves: how do they nowadays become chief in a particular place? That's the first question. How do you become chief? Is it as we used to know, when you come from a certain lineage, then you become a chief? But we all today know that to become a chief, you must pay allegiance to a particular geo, and so on, minister, and so on. So today, my first concern is that those we call traditional rulers, chiefs today, are not longer, they do not have that legitimacy to talk on behalf, of a particular community. That is the first problem. And if our problem here is to give possibility to our chiefs to really take care of the concern of the people, I'm afraid we have already failed. Already, right from the bottom, we've already failed. Because if you really want people, chiefs we got today are political chiefs. They are not longer these traditional rulers we used to have that, when they come out and they say, this is what we need, because they have consulted and they have realized that this is where my people want to go. And then they make a decision accordingly. We do no longer have that. Today, they will sit in Yaoundé with they will call the governor or the DO and so on, and they will tell him, well, there is a problem in this particular place. Okay, who do you think will become the chief there? And then he will say, he will select according to the people he thinks, so that is the first problem. We're not solving any problem yet. That's why I say we have to put all this literature aside. It's of no use, actually. And I think all this game is to Trump to calm down, the anger of our brothers in the Northwest and Southwest, to tell them, okay, since you people want to come back to what you used to do in 1961, with the House of Chiefs and so on, because they say that they say in that literature that this is very close to what is going on in the Anglo-Saxon things. No, I think it's not going to work. It's not going to work because there is a lot of politics in all these games. There is a lot of it's like they have a personal goal which is not the goal of the people. They want to achieve their own goal which is not the goal of the people. So I'm afraid we've already fell right from the
you are afraid now, Prince, because I really want the people to understand what is comprised when we talk of the special status. I'm reading some of those issues. They say a public independent conciliator, that is for the case of the Northwest and Southwest region. The book introduces the office of a public independent conciliator, an independent authority appointed by the President of the Republic for a non-renewable 6-year term. The authority mission is inter alia to make sure that the relations between citizens and regional and municipal public services are sound. The specific operating mechanisms of these houses are as follows. You are going to come in, but once this independent conciliator is appointed by the President of the Republic, and he has to gauge what the regional and municipal public services are doing with respect to the citizens, you think that is going to help carry all the problems of the people to Yaoundé if the regional assemblies fail to do their jobs?
Sure. Mr. Liu, there is one aspect in what you said. There is this aspect that he's appointed. He's not elected.
He's appointed by the president.
By the president. He already becomes that he must be a stooge. He must be a sycophant. He must be somebody who should sing praises to the president. And you discover that representative aspect of the persons of the people is no longer there. Because, Salio, everything that is ongoing now, call it special status award, the objective is to calm the tension in the Northwest and the Southwest. And if you want to calm the tension, you do not calm. A very simple example. You go to Manu, Barrister John Ako may be the person that people want. But you come there and you appoint Prince. You're creating another problem. Because the person that will be appointed, like Edmond Kwete was saying, what criterion will be used? Is it on the level of education? Is it on the aspect of financial aspects? What criterion? It means the person just gets up and says, okay, Prince, I think that you've been talking a lot on the social media. You can sit on that position. Do the people want me?
That's a question.
Can I represent the people? That is why, Mr. Lo, even this thing we're talking about, the regional elections, to me, like, I think, to me, I'm still saying it, I don't think it is to an extent that necessary. Why? Because a majority of the persons who will even be voted are coming from municipal councillors that are purely CPDM. Are the people represented in it? Because the people have their grievances. The delegates will be voted by municipal councillors and chiefs, whom are absolute majority, at least 95% CPDM. It means at the end of the day, we are still in the kind of a CPDM kind of...
Can I kill you again? Now, you say that because the person is appointed by the President of the Republic, he may not be able to do his job. Are you saying that if the President of the Republic were to appoint Prince Joel today, he would not deliver? And is there a law that says that because persons are from the CPDM party, they should not deliver?
No, Mr. Leo, the issue is the objective of these regional elections are persons who are supposed to convey what those down think and want to hierarchy.
Yeah.
But now, when you have somebody who's appointed, I've seen parliamentarians from 2013 to 2020 whom the people who voted them have never seen them. They stay in Yaoundé and they do everything, they don't even go there. These persons, it's not an issue of whether they are of the CPDM or of the opposition. But the issue is the fact that, my problem is this, Mr. Leo, the fact that they will be appointed.
Yeah.
You don't bite a finger that fits you. if the people were to be elected.
Are you saying that if you are appointed, you will not do your job?
Mr. Leo, if I'm appointed, I'll
Be
work.
appointed.
Yes. If I'm appointed, I'll work according to the person who appointed me.
Ah, okay. So you should not blame those who are doing what.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I am saying that.
Okay.
I am saying
I just
that.
wanted to add something there. Yeah, in many, considering the young nature or infancy nature of our democracy, Cameroonians are still not believing that they can work independently from the the payer of the piper, because there is an English saying that he who pays the piper calls the tune, and so most often than not we are hooked within. But it doesn't. In a more democratic civil society, you realize that some of those positions which are appointed by the head of state, you must not necessarily work with the head of state, because somewhere the law equally provides for a 6-year period non-renewable. The renewability might be just trying to guarantee the independence. But then I see it somewhere again, there's a bit of dictatorship in it. Because in many other regimes, where we intend that these people deliver in the name of the republic, they are given a life mandate, except by resignation. That is what exists like in the United States or in UK, where judges once appointed to the Supreme Court, they live for life, and they can only resign and let the judge resignation not be manipulated by any opinion. Otherwise, you will be impinged.
Okay, they say an extra set of powers that have been given to the Southwest and Northwest regions. They say the Northwest and Southwest regions have powers not provided for in the other 8 regions as follows. Taking part in defining national government policies on the English-speaking education system, and then 2, creating and managing regional development authorities, and 3, taking part in defining the status of traditional chieftains.
If we were to go back in 1960 or 61, it would have been possible. But if we look at the change in paradigm where most parties have been assimilated into CPDM, it's not possible. I want to give you an example. If we look at the fact that regional elections are coming, even the chiefs that are to be elected are members of a certain political party. Because the truth is, all the chiefs, when we are there during presidential elections, you move to all the chiefdoms in the North and Southwest region, they brand political parties, fabric of certain political parties. And how do you then don't select a chief of a certain fabric of political parties? And take note, in those municipalities, they are controlled by who? A certain political party who has regional councillors that are supposed to vote for this regional delegation. And so they are going to bring the idea of their party back to the House of Chiefs to define the national policy as of their political party. So you see that it's not going to be possible. The truth is, it may, let me not say it's not going to be possible. It may be very difficult to achieve it if we go by the balance that we are now, the scale that we are now.
Okay.
If we are to go by the
context of party discipline.
Yes,
party
discipline is highly active as far as this is concerned, and is going to be highly active as far as regional election is concerned.
But don't you think that given what the chiefs in the Southwest and Northwest regions have gone through, this may just be an opportunity to prove themselves right to their people?
What opportunity, Mr. Leo? Chiefs are supposed to be apolitical and non-partisan. By the tenets of tradition, because you receive members of MRCs, SDF, and the rest, you receive every delegation that comes to your palace. But in this context where, like we saw in West Region, is where a chief received delegation from a certain political party, he had a demand d'explication. This context, but we have seen other political parties who have received members of a certain big political parties without demanding explication. In this context, how do you reconcile this, which had not been called up? This happened before this regional election were announced. Now that regional elections have been announced, the truth is, if you are a chief who is not allegiant to certain political parties during this period to even call for, because it's a political process, to even call now for meetings, I'm sure you are going to have more demanding explication. So to answer your question, that the special status that have been granted to the chiefs or those in North and Southwest region who would use that as an opportunity to define national policy is seemingly going to tie down based on party discipline and party politics. Okay. It could have been better if the political landscape was kind of neutral from the chief perspective. But now that it is highly political, secondly, now that it's highly controlled by certain political parties, it's going to be practically what we call It's not an English word, impossible.
Okay, impossible. Now, they say the extra set of powers is taking part in defining national government policies on the English-speaking education system, creating and managing regional development. But they say, in addition, they may give their opinion on issues related to shaping public policies of justice in the common law system and take part in managing public services in their territories. Why they may? Is that not because they're talking about the Anglophone crisis actually is coming from the common law.
Yeah.
They may.
No, well, already when they say they may, because even when they say they must, it doesn't work. And when they say they may, forget about it. It simply means forget about it.
Okay.
Because if you want to say some extra thing, they will tell you the law says you may. It's not that you must. So that's why I think, you know, we are playing a lot of politics in this type of things, and I'm afraid we're not going to solve our problem. To me, I thought decentralization was a solution to actually address the problem we got in Northwest and Southwest. I think the problem here is to give enough power, enough autonomy to people to be able to manage their own internal affairs, to be able to, when there is a problem, they should not take their bag, rush to Yaoundé and send a demand, send a petition and say please, and then they say okay, you people should go and wait, and they wait for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. And if it was a little hole, you know, on the road, then they will have the whole road completely deteriorated before even there is a reaction. I think people were asking for, you know, a little bit more autonomy to be able to solve their problem. Cameroon is not the first country experiencing regional assemblies. Cameroon is not the first country. And when you look at the structure of our regional assemblies, the governor is still appointed. What is the role of the governor? I mean, who is above who? Is it the president of the region or the governor? If you see in the structure of our institution, the governor is above the president of the regional president of the regional council, and we will still have the same problem we have between the mayors and the DIOs, because you know the DIO is the one to actually approve the budget of the mayor, and sometimes these guys, they will run behind the mayor for 6 years, 8 years to get their budget approved. And before you get your budget approved, you know, it is not something easy. So if we are going to get the same problem in between governors and the president of regional assemblies, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem, because actually I think, to my own understanding, this issue of regional assembly is to allow the people of the region to be able to manage their own affairs, to be able to actually have their own project, to be able to, you know, to manage their own affairs and give, you know, their people more good life standard. But at this level, I'm afraid we instead going to cause much more problem. Already in this, you know, when you look at the configuration we have today, be certain there is a single party that will actually grab everything.
Just to add, there was a problem when we had the federal system, because the federal inspector was appointed by the head of state, and that federal inspector had problems with the administration of West Cameroon. There was that serious problem, because he was the person wanting to command what must be done, and he was a liaison officer between the head of state and the federal republic, the West Cameroon.
That is the rule of they call it the public independent conciliator.
Yes, so we will have a similar problem if it is not addressed. I remember there was a period where Frontier had a problem with the federal inspector. The project were suspended because the federal inspector are not okay.
Dr. Aku, John Aku, what should be the spirit in the respective political platforms that we have in Cameroon, because definitely we are moving surely towards elections, regional elections.
Yeah, I believe somewhere some people said there will be no regional elections, and so they have given their ultimatum. We are waiting. But somewhere too, if you're on some social media platform, some other political parties are equally fighting to form coalitions. Others want to make their voices heard. So they are forming coalition. To what extent is where we are still to understand. But the political climate in Cameroon today, everybody knows that have been harassed and hijacked by a single political party, because everybody believes that Cameroon or the resources of this nation need to be shared equally, that we need to eat from the same pot rather than eating from different pots. So on the same line, you will equally see some opposition political party that are owned by the ruling party. They too are trying to form their own alliance. And so the alliance now is to give the ruling party the majority. These things are going to happen. Some of those chiefs that have been in one party or the other will now try equally to call the attention of the head of state, looking at it that the number of chiefs have been highly reduced. One of the issues which the Cameroonian political atmosphere has made some of us feel so amazed since 1992 is that elections in Cameroon do not even matter.
Okay.
And I've even asked myself, why then spend billions of francs CFA and taxpayers' money in constructing a home or building an association which we know that will serve no interest? Some people even ask, what was the purpose of the national dialogue? Why even create a regional assembly? They are coming because some other powers abroad might have asked the head of state to implement the position of the 1996 constitution, which equally called for regional representatives. So the head of state will tell you that in the spirit of the law, he is trying to implement those recommendations within the 1996 constitution. They created what we call the Constitutional Council. You realize the composition of the Constitutional Council, that everything was non-fondé or rejecté, and all again to give this particular support to the head of state. What we call the regional assembly is again another camouflage, where CPDM may be using it as an instrument to tell the state or the international community how popular the party is and how they can rule, even if those who call them distractors or those who hate the republic are trying to work against the state of Cameroon. But we know very well that since 1992, the number of Cameroonians registered in our electoral register had not changed. It's really a pity if this is really a democratic nation.
Good evening, panelists. How is the House of Chiefs and special status to the Northwest and Southwest regions when we have other chiefs from other regions in the House, and assuming that the House of Chiefs is reality, according to me, is a fiction? How effective will it function to benefit the regions with most of the members from CPDM? Special status is a bigger scam and will not solve what we are facing now. I tire this country. Writing from Mutengene. Good evening. I'm sure the other regions are not going to have, the chiefs are going to be there, but they are not going to constitute what they call the House of Chiefs. Good evening, Mr. Liu. If you look deeply, sir, you will notice that the special status was a special status for the CPDM members from the Northwest and Southwest. Not in Prince. Writing from Limbe. Okay. Mr. Liu, this state has failed woefully in all domains, but very sad looking at the mentality of the minor corrupted and evil supporters. Okay, Mr. Liu, go around the 10 regions to understand that what I'm talking about. Cameroonians are working capses, and the so-called 21st century stomach politicians are marching unsteadily on their plans to enslave us worse than Hitler, Stalin, and Mobutu did. Okay. Sama is writing from, okay, Sama, you're not telling me where you're writing from. Good evening, Leo. Kudos to the panel. Ngong writing from Italy. Good evening to you, Ngong. This one says, good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and all the members of the panel. We are following the program with interest. Thanks for your great contribution towards nation building. Keep it up. Dikmu Timothy is writing from Mutengene. Good evening to you, sir. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu and the panelists. I can't understand why the government is beating about the bush as if they don't know what exactly the problem of the country is all about. Creating a regional house doesn't solve the Anglophone problem. Rather, they are creating confusion upon confusion. Let the government stop rigmarole and solve the Anglophone problem. Okay, Anonymous is writing from Banga. Good evening to you, Anonymous. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu, and everyone in the studio. Please, your sound system is not the best. I'm Festus writing from Munya. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Good program, Professor Aku and Jarvis. Keep up. Esther is writing from Yaoundé. Says also great Prince Joel and Edmond Kwate. the courtier. Greetings, good evening, Mr. Leo. My greetings to everyone in the studio. You people are doing a great job. Courage. Joel, I love your cap. Danto Obed writing from Douala. Okay. This one says, good evening to you guys in the studio. Nelson Mandela once said in one of his quotes, treat a people the way it is, not the way it was, not the way you want it to be. I can tell you that's where our government is going totally wrong, because they want to solve this crisis the way it was. Okay, Noel writing from Yaoundé Mbankolo. I'm Godfred from Tombel. Your program is the best. Paul Biya is calling for an original elections to destabilize Cameroon. He is not a statesman. Okay. Okay, good evening, Mr. Kuman. Greetings to your panelists. I'm following your program from Batoke. The issue of the elections of regional delegates does not occupy more importance than any problem of the country. Take note that this country is managed by the CPDM. Wonja is rising from Batoke. Good evening to you, Wonja. Good evening, Mr. Liu and our big brothers in the panel. I don't know why the interest of Cameroonian government is the elections than solving issues keeping the country in captivity. Chin Clinton, Ikanyo Berni, writing from Douala. Okay, we are going to take a short break. When we come back, we are going to move on to our second topic for tonight. You're watching Prime on My Media Prime. Good evening once again to you watching us from Bomenda, from Kumba, from Boya, Limbe, Mutengene, and across all other towns in Cameroon and across the globe. We now are going to be looking at the meeting that took place today in Yaoundé, a meeting of the commission that is charged with the follow-up of the recommendations that we arrived at the Major National Dialogue, as well as the implementation of the actions on the ground. That meeting took place today in Yaoundé under the chairmanship of His Royal Majesty Chief Dr. Joseph Dion Ngouti, Prime Minister of Cameroon. And that meeting, when we go by information that we are having, it says the meeting is holding on the high instructions of the President of the Republic, Prince Joel. Should the President of the Republic instruct for a commission to do its job?
Mr. Leo, you don't solve a problem by creating another. That's what I said some time ago. And first of all, the Major National Dialogue has proven in all aspects that it's a failure. The Major National Dialogue killings have continued in the northwest and the southwest. After the Major National Dialogue, we have still seen that the marginalization aspect is still ongoing in the northwest and the southwest. But now, when you say they were going according to the head of state, that the head of state gave instructions.
High instructions.
Yeah, okay, high instructions, or from the head of state. Now, now, is it the persons, all the different personalities who took part in the Major National Dialogue? Even if they were, what is the reality in the field now? Because the Major National Dialogue that took place from the 30th of September to the 4th of October 2019, here we are today. The killings are still ongoing. You and I know what happened in Bamenda yesterday. But when you feel at one time that you can impose laws on the people, when you feel at one time that you can do with people what you think, Bob Marley once said that you can fool some people sometime, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. Mr. Leo, the president of the country knows the problem. The Major National Dialogue had as objective, as he instructed, high instructions, that it was to solve the ongoing crisis. But we are shocked that the crisis is increasing. People keep dying every day. Nothing is stopping. The ghost towns are still there every day.
My question to you is, a major national dialogue took place, right? A commission, resolutions were arrived at for the implementation of whatever was arrived
resolutions.
That commission
recommendations
has been existing, and some of the recommendations have already been implemented to some extent. I'm going to read them. But now they are holding a meeting today, and they say it is on high instructions from the President of the Republic. You are a commission created to work. Do you need an order from instructions from the head of state to do a job?
That's why I said, Mr. Leo, that maybe I was answering the question in another way. The issue is the commission were the members. Because the major national dialogue, we should say it, the objective of the major national dialogue was to give a panacea out of the crisis. But that's what I said, that till now, we are seeing that the major national dialogue did not solve the problem. And the president comes again and instructs the members of the commission to hold a meeting, which means that at a certain level, they were not doing their job. And even if they were doing their job, why should it be the fact that it is the president that is calling them to sit? And if they are sitting, I'm still reiterating this aspect of Mr. Leo, who are the members of it?
No, it is close to 20 man. We have the moderator, we have Cardinal Tumi, and a host of others who took part in it. Yes.
The question, Leo. I mean, when I follow your question, do they need to wait for the high
instructions
from the head of state to actually follow up the recommendation that came out from a national dialogue,
knowing that people are dying every day,
and knowing that the reason why this dialogue was organized is still ongoing and with more acuity? I think that particular word or group of word, high instruction, has caused only that particular have caused a lot of trouble in this country because they use it to cause problems. They use it when they want to siphon some funds. They say under the high instruction of the head of state, and once they say that, it is over. Nobody can say anything. When they want to actually embezzle some money, they say under the high instruction. You know what happened during the Afghan organizations, with the preparation, with the infrastructure and so on. Everything was under the high instruction of the head of state. Everything was under the high instruction. But when we are facing critical issues like the crisis in the northwest and southwest, you said it before, we got some videos coming from Bamenda, seeing women, children, old men running to protect, to save their life in the market, simply because they were it was shooting here and there. And this is the day after day life of our brothers and sisters in the northwest and southwest. Should we, how long, I mean, when did we organize the it's been 6 months already, I think, more than 6 months.
No, almost a year.
It's almost a year.
It's October. Took place in
October.
September 30th.
Come on.
To October 4th.
I mean, let us be, are we serious? Can't we be serious at once in this country? I mean, even for some murders. I can understand that for the preparation of things like Afghan, people can say, oh, well, it's a mere game, it's something. But we're talking of an issue involving lives of people. We got people living in critical condition. We get people displaced internally and both internally and externally. We got people living in very poor condition nowadays in Nigeria, in Ghana, here and there. They are free here and there. I mean, we have our even those living in Bamenda today, their life is not good, and they have been suffering every day. Why can't we be serious at least for once? Why can't we? I mean, take some issues with the seriousness that it takes. I mean, we're talking about this crisis. Is already 4 years. This crisis started since 2016, and since then you cannot imagine, we cannot, there is no accountability of what has been going on. I mean, in terms of damages, in terms of lives, in terms of suffering, in terms of, it is just too much. And people, after the dialogue, people go and sit down for 1 year, and today they come and say under the high instruction. Does it mean if the president doesn't give any high instruction, there will be no commission will sit down, no committee will sit down to actually go through the recommendation of the, no, I mean, after this, when are we waiting for the next high instruction of the president to actually see into? No, I mean, we got to be serious, at least for once. I mean, with things, with subjects like this Northwest and Southwest crisis, we got to be serious. We can play around with other things. Well, it's okay, but at least with things involving lives, sufferings of our brothers and sisters, let's be serious at once.
Yes, Doctor. I want us to look at some of the things. Can we have a listen to the outing of the Prime Minister today as he declared open the session of today?
Of the actions that have already been engaged in line with the recommendations formulated during the dialogue and chart a way forward. It should enable us design a roadmap for ensuring that our children in all our villages and towns in the Northwest and Southwest regions peacefully resume schools, our businessmen and women in those two regions restart their enterprises, and our brothers and sisters who have become refugees and internally displaced persons go back to their villages and carry on with their regular activities again. By deciding to create this committee, the head of state, His Excellency Biya, has continued to demonstrate his profound commitment to follow through with delivering on the deep aspirations of our people: peace, prosperity, and harmonious living together. I dare challenge all of us to exhibit our patriotism and our love for our homeland, to be relentless in investing effort and time in this mission for posterity. The membership, composition, and caliber from time, the hope vested in this committee. Our individual and collective actions will definitely take us in the right direction, that which will lead to a return of peace in the Northwest and Southwest regions and strengthen our resilience as a people. I therefore formally declare open the inaugural session of the committee to follow up the implementation of the recommendations of the major national dialogue. Long live the people of Cameroon. Long live the head of state, His Excellency Biya. Thank you for your very kind attention.
Okay, that was the Prime Minister declaring open the session that took place today in Yaoundé. Tamai Jarvis, they took time off to go through what has been happening already, and amongst them, they say they are talking about a bill on decentralization that was adopted. That was a direct fallout of the major national dialogue. They equally talked about the law on bilingualism that equals the need, or that gives an equal status to the English and French language. But since the adoption of these bills, what do you think you can observe on ground?
I will want to say the day I will hear attention at ease, take your arms up and take it down, then I will know Cameroon is putting bilingualism at the center. But as long as we see arm up here, garde-boue in the Cameroon's military, which is the helm of maintaining national sovereignty and security, then bilingualism is still a far-fetched dream. Secondly, looking at the effective decentralization bill, I will equally want to say the day I will get up and see that things are done within the region without moving to Yaoundé, that day I will say decentralization has come to stay. It's still a myth. If I look at the commission, when the other members were talking, I was laughing because we need a commission to, they need to create a commission to find out why the other commissions are failing. I think that is the next commission we need now in this country. Because commissions upon commission. Why will a MD meet from 30th September to October, and till now we are waiting on the head of state to sit and sign a firm instruction that please reevaluate what a follow-up of as to what we had discussed. Then you were a member of that national dialogue. You were the president of the major national dialogue as a prime minister. Then you ought to resign. Because you are waiting on the firm instruction from the head of state before you convey MDD, looking at the fact that you are head of government and the nation need peace, and Anglophone crisis are primordial. We cannot wait 1 year, almost 1 year, to the verge of looking at what is happening before we say that we are waiting on firm instruction. The two B's on bilingualism and above all decentralization, to me, it's more of a window dressing. We have gone far this. Look at if we can ask ourselves, what has the Bilingualism Commission been able to achieve since the first ad hoc committee? Because it was followed out of the ad hoc committee. There was followed out of the interministerial ad hoc committee in Bamenda, where we have the effective bilingualism and multiculturalism.
Yeah, but the fact is that commission was created to function and make recommendations. Yes, but now we have a law, because once it becomes law.
I accept what you are saying. This is normative. Barrister Akpo John is a scholar. This is the normative. It's not what is in Cameroon. Cameroon, we are ruled by normative theories. We are not ruled by the fact on the grounds are different. How do you explain that from the date this law was signed, we still get command, high-level military command in French? We still get the head of state has not been able to address the nation partially in English, fully in French. We still get top-ranking government officials, even with the law, still going forward in French. We still have Anglophone authorities, even with the law, still speaking exclusively English. So how do you say this? How do we balance this up? To me, if this must be balanced, it starts from the military. I repeat, the military. The day I will see the military will say, attention, at ease, pick up your arms, leave it up, down. Then I will say, hey, this is bilingualism. Until then, we are still around the periphery. We are still, and even on decentralization. Okay. Passport example. Where are passport done? ID card, where are they done? We have lots of people who don't have ID card, who keep with laissez-passer,
out of the country.
who still have laissez-passer. They are sent to Yaoundé. Yaoundé sent out of the country. Don't you have mega printing press machines in Biya, in Bamenda, who can digitalize a process and print it in such a way that you just go to a control check, they scan it and read in their central command system that, hey, it is legit. But we still go to Yaoundé, and we are talking about decentralization. We need deliverance, no. Honestly, we need deliverance.
We need deliverance. I followed up the presentation of the presentation of the Secretary. He enumerated the bill on decentralization. That is a quote. He also actually mentioned the release of some prisoners. About 300 persons were released after the holding of the major national dialogue, and then also mentioning the law on bilingualism. Where are we? Do we think that French and English, so far since they are evaluating, has equal status in this country?
I would not like to say, but this particular commission, the evaluation of the national decision of the major national dialogue, maybe is one of the forums where members will go back at the end with some petty envelopes. Because in reality, like Jarvis said, the next thing we might going to have is a commission to evaluate why the measures taken have failed to solve the problem. It is 1 year gone. People are still dying. This afternoon, yesterday evening, last night, Bamenda was shut down because of the death of a police officer and all the like. Within the major national dialogue, we were equally hoping to see a sincere report of opening that particular sermon with the Prime Minister acknowledging that there have equally been still social or insecurity in the two regions, which is very high, and so the government need to do something and giving that particular tax to the commission to do more. When we look at the Bilingualism Commission, you see, whenever we create commission, I always believe within my round that the CPDM party always have a way of appreciating those who have worked for the party, and that anytime such commissions are created, the same people are appointed everywhere. Some time ago, we were talking of the Reconstruction Commission. The thing has gone very quiet. We don't even know which project is already going on and all the like. When the Prime Minister came to power, the first time was to go to the Northwest and the Southwest. We saw the media and everybody said, no, the Prime Minister has taken a very good turn. all these, we call them cosmetics or perishable solutions that have never rendered any concrete result on the field. And we know it. We create commissions upon commissions and the problem is not resolved. I am here, when you imagine, you look at when the United States is fighting COVID-19, before the president of that nation, Donald Trump, came out to wear a face mask, it follows public opinion. They know how many people will follow the head of state if he has to put on a face mask in an official ceremony. It was not his wish. He has never wished to carry a face mask. But just that day, it became symbolic that the head of state could put on a face mask. We need a head of state like us, that one day he would come up in his whole speech to say bilingualism has come to Cameroon, and I will make this speech in English entirely, so that the other two should understand that for 38 years, that other part of the territory has been getting the speech in French, and I will do it in English. This will change a lot of spirit within the bilingualism atmosphere in Cameroon. When you go to some companies, they will tell you written pre-condition, you should be exceptionally French. Just imagine that, and that English might just be an advantage. How do we see with such communiques on recruitment? Has that ended? Are we not reading those communiques with still members of the Bilingualism Commission, which we know that there is a law? Can we convoke such companies? There are private companies that are existing within Cameroon. But now our own Bilingualism Commission will enter the level of the ministry. Is there written room or chambre? So if it is written room or chambre, meaning there is bilingualism in this ministry. When we look at the documents, Republic of Cameroon, La République du Cameroun, meaning there is bilingualism in this ministry. This is how we evaluate, and I believe the reports were equally tendered that some of the ministries have earmarked enormous effort. That is the ministry. How many people visit Cameroonian ministries away from the Cameroonians themselves? How many people get to the ministry? We need to go to the layout or informal sector to see if bilingualism is highly implemented. Decentralization, this is it. The progress of decentralization is the creation of regional representatives. And we know again at the composition of the regional representatives, those who are going to vote. How will this solve the problem? How has that solved the Anglophone problem? Because the problem that called for the major national dialogue was the English problem. How has that solved the problem? We have said, when you are sick and you get to the hospital and they give you paracetamol, of which is not a cure for that illness, you will not get well. What happened to you? You need to seek another more super standard hospital so that your problem can be cured. You know that all the solutions you have been given, all the proposals are not the ready-made.
I want us to get something very clear. A follow-up committee. Are we not demanding more than the follow-up committee can deliver? What can the follow-up committee actually change in the whole implementation?
Mr. Leo, the follow-up committee is going, as the Prime Minister said, is supposed to give what they've been doing on the ground. They're going to present documents from them, instructions from the head of state. So this is what we've been finding out so far. But the issue is, a year after the major national dialogue, the reality is still there. It is clear indication that even a blind man or even a deaf man can hear, and a blind man will see, that the major national dialogue did not solve any problem. In fact, it was not even a step toward solving the Anglophone problem.
Yeah, but some prisoners, they will tell you, I'm sure, following that, they'll tell you that bilingual translators, almost 500 of them have been
recruited.
They have been recruited, and then
Wada.
Yes, Wada has been translated.
So, and the common
we have a host of other things that have been done.
And they have also opened a branch of
Mr. Leo, not to just get I'm not catching off. When something comes like this, it's always good for us to say it. You remember about last week or 2 weeks a week ago, the lawyers in the Northwest and the Southwest are equally preparing for a new strike. That after the Conseil Supérieur de la Magistrature, the head of state has still moved ahead to appoint civil law magistrates in English courts. At the same time, at the same time, we're evaluating the recommendations of the major national dialogue.
Just go. Yeah, so Mr. Leo, I was saying that the major national dialogue, the objective was to kill the tension in the Northwest and the Southwest. And if till today the tension is still ongoing, it is indicative and it is very clear that the major national dialogue ended in a fiasco. If not, why are they still killing people? And the commission is going to table, what are they tabling? Are they going to say, okay, because if I were to tell Javis, it's like, if I were to be in that commission, it's just to say, Mr. President, honestly speaking, the agenda you set, the personalities you invited, the venue wasn't the best. If not, why then?
My question stands. What is the potency of that commission to change issues? Because we are talking about the bilingualism commission that made moves to the northwest region. We saw them meeting the people. We saw them also meeting people in the southwest regions. To date, we don't know what has become of the recommendations. So, can they really change anything? This commission.
The commission is one of so many commissions in Cameroon. Javi said something, and I want to borrow from him. He said that at one time in Cameroon, we should create a commission to investigate why commissions keep failing. Mr. Leo, at one time in Limbe, in Sonara, there was an incident, a fire incident. A commission was created. Till date, we have not known the cause of the fire. We have had commissions to investigate not one, not two, not three aspects in Cameroon. At the end of the day, nothing. So I just think that the president, he will not have stressed himself that much that the commission should come and table, because the evidences in the field, they are there to indicate that the major national dialogue failed. It's clear. Everybody is seeing it. The international community is seeing it. Because you would even notice, Mr. Leo, that after the major national dialogue, there has been more killings, more burnings, and so many things in the northwest and the southwest region. So it's as though the major national dialogue came to add to the problems of the people in the northwest and the southwest region.
But I want us to look at the capacity of this commission to affect anything. If they were to observe that things are not moving as desired, and then can they change anything?
No, the problem is before you be able to, to assess, to evaluate the efficiency of a commission like this, there must be a kind of further route in the first place. That means a roadmap. That means when these people, the people who actually participated to the national dialogue, the last day they left the Palais de Congrès, there should have been a kind of roadmap that
a deadline that within this 3 months.
These 3 months. This is this resolution or this recommendation. Yes. Was it resolution or recommendation? Recommendation. We expect this particular recommendation to be implemented in the field within this period of time. Is it 3 months? Is it 6 months? Is it 1 year? We expect this set of recommendation to be implemented in this particular field within this period of time. And based upon this roadmap, now you have a committee to evaluate what has been done and what hasn't been done, and why hasn't it been done. What can we do to actually improve, the implementation of the recommendation in the field? That is where you can evaluate. But so far, when they sit and they say they are evaluating, what has been done? What has been done in the field? No, I think we're wasting time here. This is an opportunity for people to sit down and maybe eat some biscuits, maybe drink some champagne, if at all there will be, and maybe grab some dried yams. I think that's the purpose of this type of commission sitting. There is nothing, because what are they evaluating? What were the recommendations? We all know the set of recommendations that came out. And when they came out with the set of recommendations, they said they are going to send it to the president, and the president will. I was expecting the president to come out, publicly to say, okay, this is the roadmap of the recommendation. This is what we've decided. Because actually, the president was to turn the recommendations into resolutions
and policies.
Because simply they are mere recommendations.
Yeah, but we have had the law on bilingualism, which is from, I'm sure, a commission. We have had the law of decentralization also from another commission.
Let me ask you a question. When did they create the bilingualism?
It was after it was fallout from the AHO committee, not even the.
It's not after Mr. Misonge.
Before the
national dialogue was long ago. I mean, Mr. Misonge has been turning. I don't know what has been doing because, like somebody said, yeah, maybe they have new cars, they got new office. That's what they're doing. Because actually, if they ask you a question, Mr. Leo, as a Cameroon and as a citizen, you have been moving in the street of Douala, Yaoundé, and so on. You've been going into public offices and private offices. If they ask you what has that particular commission has brought as an impact into the implementation of bilingualism in our country, can you say it? I know, because I mean.
No, my question. I have a question for you, Jarvis. Maybe Doctor is going to come in. Now, the major national dialogue ended. Recommendations were forwarded to the head of state. He's implementing. Can these guys evaluate what the president is?
I was just about to answer as though I knew what you were going to do.
Okay.
How do you do an evaluation in what you don't know whether the head of state has approved this or has not approved that? You must be a magician. Or you must be acting the movie. First of all, as Edmond said, recommendations were made and channeled to the head of state. Now, the head of state, in his magnanimity, a guarantor of national security and the constitution, number one chief of armed force was supposed to come and present to us that these are your recommendations you give, these are the short terms we are going to follow, these are the long term we are going to take. On this short term, this is how it's going to go, Mr. A, B, C, D, and that is going to be in charge. And on this long term, this is the number of time it's going to take, such that the Cameroonian from Gokutunja, from Furawa, from Nanga Eboko, the one even from Akaninku, the one from Abokunjama should know that these are the policies of the nation as far as the MND is concerned. Then you can hold them accountable if they fail. But as of now, the head of state is doing what we call a selective approach in terms of the resolution, and which we may not know if it's recommendation of the national dialogue or if it's continuation of his policy, because these recommendations were made. We all had to have the recommendations, but we are seeing selective picking as to what. In fact, let me be very honest. The truth is that the major national dialogue, if we go by the governing conflict in the world, was supposed to have been called only after certain conditions have been met. And one of those conditions to be met is that these persons are supposed to meet with the key agitators alongside with the non-key agitators to set the framework to discuss and to create a follow-up committee which is independent and not political. This is where we get. Let me just land, please. Let me land. You get this commission is evaluating a high instruction office. How do you evaluate a high instruction office? That gives you fair instruction to reevaluate what he has not declared, that this are the roadmap, this is what we intend to follow. We are just following Cameroon. The truth is, guns still keep smoking in Bamenda. As we speak, people are on the floor. It was not just yesterday, even today it continues, and it may still continue. The issue is, what is the Prime Minister, the head of government, the president of the major national dialogue, because he was the president of the major national dialogue who presided, doing to ensure that these short-term policies are fully implemented?
Yeah, but maybe this was also an opportunity, Doctor, for them to realize that it's almost 9 months after the holding of the major national dialogue, things are not moving the way expected by Yaoundé, and that recommendations were going to come out of this meeting today to tell Yaoundé that from the ground this is what we have gathered, and there is need to either fast track what we agreed at the major national dialogue.
It is really very lazy and for us to think that this particular commission is going to give recommendations. We may not be adding recommendations on recommendation because the major national dialogue.
What then is the job?
Yeah, that is what I want to tell you, that at the disarmament commission, they too made their own recommendation. The reconstruction commission made recommendation. Bilingualism commission itself has its own recommendations that were given to the head of state.
Special status.
So we we have not had the Special Status Commission.
Not yet.
Because we need to have it. We need to have the Decentralization Commission so that we see how far decentralization is going. So when all these commissions make their recommendations, the head of state, like I said, in other countries, they used to call it a white book. When everything has been discussed and it's found in one book, they say the problems of this nation can be solved through this book. The head of state was supposed to pass all these recommendations as a law, so the Cameroonians know that the law on the Measure National Dialogue Commission or recommendation, this is the law. We are evaluating what everybody is doing as state actors within. But now, they have not stayed away from their old tricks. They pick the articles that favors them, the recommendation that favors them, and make it a law. So the decentralization bill has been passed. The one on bilingualism will be passed. The one on local council, they will bring it. Now, what becomes of the whole recommendations of the others? Others, civil society and the rest, how will they function? So they will stay on in the paper until they will have the favor of the highest magistrate in Cameroon, the supreme leader, in fact the sovereign leader of the nation, until they will have their favor. Then what are they evaluating now? Because some of those recommendations that were made by the Bilingualism Commission itself have not even been implemented. So the commission now is what I call interdisciplinary, because it cut across every commission. They're going to evaluate, and like I said in my first statement, a lot of those views will be that how far with decentralization. They will ask the question themselves, of which the law in decentralization is right in front of them. So what are we answering? Have we implemented it? They will put it by the side, write one or two notes, and at the end, they will arrive at their own recommendations on what should be done. There is one recommendation Cameroonians are crying, that what was done in Yaoundé from the 30th of September to the 4th of October 2019 was a monologue. That was not a dialogue. We are calling on the government to get into a sincere and more inclusive dialogue. Because when you get there, you realize that they said 300 people were released. But we know that there are major actors in this fight that are still in prison. That those who even use weapons and kill have said, we are no longer killing. They have not been forgiven. Their sins have been forgiven. They are in disarmament centers. Mancho BBC and the rest, who have nothing to do with guns and weapons, are still in prison. Are we sincere? What is the highest recommendation we can make here? We have said, release everybody linked to the crisis. Okay. And then Cameroon can start thinking of talking to one another. If this is not done, a lot of things will still be disturbing Cameroon.
Good evening, Mr. Liu, and great panelists on board My Media Prime TV. Mr. Liu, the special status you are saying was issued to Anglophones in a blank check since the end of the major national dialogue. Which of the recommendations has been implemented as it was recommended? See, Mr. Liu, the politicians should stop politicking with people's life. Winfried, writing from the United States of United States of Arab Emirates, best regards. Ignatius is writing. Thank you, Ignatius, for contributing. Good evening, sir. I'm a Sona Divine from Limbe. What I want to say is that all committees set up to tackle the crisis have fully failed. The worst is the national dialogue, which was filled with so much theater, act, fictional drama. This one says, le chef de l'État doit donner l'exemple en faisant les discours en anglais et en français. Julien de Soie, good evening to you, Julien. Good evening, Mr. Liu and panelists. A good topic, but hope we will have time to revisit this topic. Brilliant analysis from all the panelists are proposing better ways of going with the just published text. Let's read between the lines. There are some aspects in the text that are good anyways. Politicking is a game of tricks to consolidate power, which the C party just did in the last elections. I recommend that opposition parties merge into one to topple this system. The time is now. If they care, they should wait till the eve of an elections. From up long past hand, Biya. Good evening to you. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I traveled from Kribi to Bolova, sir. You can't imagine. There's no signboard in English, but from Mungo or from Matazim, all signboards are in English and French, sir. Does it mean this bilingualism is only for the Northwest and Southwest? I really need an answer. Derek is writing from Limbe. Derek, you know the answer, please. Oh, you write to the Bilingualism Commission. I'm sure there are persons from that commission who live in Biya. This one says, you guys are awesome. I am in Tunchi, writing from Kumba. Good evening to all panelists in the studio. Your topic would have been very interesting if the Yaoundé administration was serious. But so far, it is just another way to be playing with time. Action speaks louder than words. Greetings to my man Travis Markfish, writing from Mile 4 in Limbe. Good evening to you. The program is really interesting. I think we have many things to gain when you do the right thing and many things to lose when you do the wrong thing. My problem is, why is the government always doing the wrong thing but expecting the right results? Ngong Cornelius, writing from Bamenda. Has communiques from the presidency been released in English language? Yes, they do. They come in French and in English, please. Mr. Liu and Co. Good evening, Chief from Bamenda. Just to congratulate you and your panelists, and also informing you guys that already with the Ministry of Decentralization, nothing will ever work in the right direction. Okay, good evening to you all in the studio. Cameroon is the only country in the world that starts cutting a tree from the top. Cha is writing from Bamenda. Now, this commission, what should the commission do to be seen as doing their job very well, so that effects we feel the impact?
Sure, Mr. Leo, the commission, like you said, that one of those who are part of the commission is Christian Cardinal to me, somebody whom I respect a lot.
The moderator is there.
Yeah, I respect him very much. He was part of it, and he knows the reality in the field. And even during the special status, he's one of those that were chosen to go to the Northwest and Southwest and sensitize the people. I feel that he knows the feedback. He knows the feedback, and the fact that months after the dialogue ended, the objective of the dialogue has not been attained. It is enough reason for this commission to tell the president that, Mr. President, maybe what we held, or maybe the proposals we gave, are not a way out of the crisis. We rather think that, Mr. President, it is high time that we took another decision that can look into the problem proper, because if people are still dying every day, and you will notice, Mr. Leo, that after the major national dialogue, before the major national dialogue, we used to hear of deaths. It's true, people were killed, but the manner in which people are being killed now, it's a bit somehow. So the commission should make it very clear to the president, whom I know very well is not ignorant of the situation, that the major national dialogue failed in all its rhythms to solve the Anglophone crisis. It is time, like Dr. Ako said, that another major national dialogue, inclusive, we should bring another dialogue, whereby those persons concerned, linked with the crisis, should be brought to book. Let the realities tell the president that what he wanted to solve has rather created more problems. And if they do not do it fast enough, we are still afraid that as days go by, there will be more heads that will be falling off in the Northwest.
They should be seen as doing the job. What should be done to get these recommendations implemented, especially when it comes to decentralization? Because we have seen the mayor of Njome Pinja actually battling with his minister, and nobody came out to defend him.
What should be done, I would say
also the opportunity for the commission to come out to say, no, this is what was arrived at.
Not only the commission, the Ministry of Decentralization did not even come out effectively to back up Eric Kinger.
No, the ministry rather backed the SDO.
That's what I'm saying. That the ministry,
it is his minister who was putting the law against.
That's what I'm telling you, that the ministry did not come to support him, just to confirm. So what we need now as a recommendation is to create a commission to investigate why all these commissions are failing. That's all we need. Whether we give recommendation left or right, it won't work. The only recommendation we need is a commission to investigate why all the other commissions have been 86, 1961 till now, they have been failing. So yeah, we have a genuine reason to face the new Republic of Cameroon, where we should be void of inequality, will be void of suppression of the right of minority, will be void of marginalization in terms of language, in terms of content, in terms of distribution of income, and in terms of structural violence. Because whatever recommendation we give right now, it will still be on the fact that they need to table it to the high office and wait for the high instruction to come.
Is that not where the problem is, Doctor, where commissions are created and have little or no powers to implement? Because take the case of the Commission of Bilingualism and Multiculturalism. Their role is just to make proposals to the head of state, who may decide to take it or not. Why not give greater powers to this commission that, okay, you are the Commission for Bilingualism. If you discover that this is not right, you have the powers to sanction. Take the case of Konak. Konak is just observing and rights to, yes. Is that not what the problem is?
It is not a problem concerning that within the Cameroonian political system, there is an idea to centralize power, so that immediately the Prime Minister is appointed by the head of state, and the ministers, the Constitution says on the proposal, on the recommendation of the Prime Minister, the President shall appoint members of government. It's not happening like that, because a system has been built in a way that everything we do is thanks to the head of state. So if you have a small well of drinking water, thanks to the head of state, you have to write a motion of support. So one thing which I said here is that Cameroonians too lack courage, because we have not seen Cameroonians that have taken the courage by themselves to do what the law demands them to do, even when it is, giving that authority within the law. Magistrate rule at times not even the name of the President of the Republic, but because within their mind they think they're ruling against what was the wish of the politician, they might not be recommended for more better appointments. Cameroonians, the commissions have powers, to report. And why not? Even us as individuals, we have the powers to even go to court and complain against an individual that has acted wrongly or contrary to the law. If you sue a police officer while carrying out his duty, you have the right to do so. But how many Cameroonians have this power? Because we know already that the judiciary will answer in the name of the President of the Republic. And so there is no need going there. What I said here as a problem in this country is that the moment we forget about individual interests, when Cameroonians forget of building a world around themselves, and that we are building a nation, and that the nation Cameroon belongs to all, and that will live even after us, we will learn to do things right. Because there is no need for commission. When you go to many countries like the UK, you have 12 secretaries of state that are ruling the whole United Kingdom. And then you come to Cameroon, the numbers of commissions are even almost equating the numbers of ministries. Is that not just creating more problems to the same issue? Are we efficient enough? Are we not capable of ruling properly? A nation with less than 25 million inhabitants, how has that solved the problem? We are talking of commission. How has ministry solved the problem? Formerly, we used to have the national education, which included secondary, high school, and basic. How has vocational training changed the issue in Cameroon? How has creating the Ministry of Secondary Education advocated for a new order today? So within the standard where we are, I think Cameroon needs the Messiah, and we are waiting that God should not over-delay in answering Cameroon. We have faced in limbo. There's a lot of darkness and obscurity over the nation Cameroon, that people have taken it, feeling that it is their property, but I keep on insisting that Cameroon belongs to all, and that we should live that life as a model, so that the youths that will come, those that will inherit Cameroon, will have us in mind, that we did what they might or could not measure. That is the standard within every other organization, and I believe very strongly that if we act that as one skipper, Cameroon will be a better place. There is nothing wrong with Cameroon. The only thing wrong in Cameroon are the citizens. If we change the citizens, then we'll change the nation Cameroon. We should act rightly and for the interest of all. If we need to take Cameroon forward, take the war in the northwest and the southwest as if it is within your backyard. If we consider it so, if you cannot go out of your house, you cannot send your children to school, leaders will learn to take a better decision. It is not because you have safe haven, others in Europe or others in the south haven. What is happening is that when you have a problem with a finger that is disturbing you, your health is deteriorating. Cameroon has 10 regions, has a problem in two regions, it is a Cameroonian problem. Let's handle it in a way that the nation will prosper. It is not by being egocentric or self-centered to create commissions and give compensation to those political actors that will handle the issue. Let's act on the name of the Republic of Cameroon as stated by the Constitution.
Okay, Edmond Kwate, amongst some of the objectives that are sought after by this commission, we have the Back to School campaign for the southwest and northwest regions, because they say the children should actually get back to school and that the economy should get back on its feet. Talking about these issues that are limping in these two regions, do we expect in the days ahead to see a fast tracking of the implementation process of some of these recommendations, especially after this meeting today and then some proposals made to the President of the Republic?
No, the Commission is not going to implement things using magic. I don't think so. When you talk about back to school, do you think they can go back to school in that condition we saw yesterday? People, running in the street in Bamenda, trying to protect their lives. Do you think you can send your children to school in Bamenda today? No, it's not possible. You saw in which condition in which condition they beheaded a lady in Muyuka. And then all these type of things. I think we have to be serious at time if we are talking about our country. We have to be. It's our country. We are not strangers here. We are Cameroonians, and this is what we inherit from our fathers, and this is what we give as legacy to our children. So we have to be serious when we are talking about Cameroon. My question is, and when I say we have to be serious, are we really serious? Let me take you an example. This is a prime minister. I have nothing against the prime minister. I think he's a good man. I think he wants to get things done. You see what happened last time when the prime minister was trying to pilot a secret dialogue with how do you call it, Mr. Ayuk and companies. The prime minister was piloting a dialogue. It was still secret, and he recommended the manager of DGRE to meet with Ayuk, Sissoko and Co. He recommended the manager of DGRE to meet with them, and after that, everybody was happy. The UN was happy. The French embassy was happy. The US embassy was happy. Everybody was happy that at least something is going on. But what happened next is, after the Mr. Ayuk made a press release, I can say he made a tweet to announce that actually there's something going on. But the SGPR gave a recommendation to the Minister of Communication to actually to come out with a press with another release to say no, nothing is going on, and he didn't go through the Prime Minister, who is actually the chief of government. Do you think that is serious? And the same thing is going on. See, yesterday the Minister of Sport said recommended. He didn't recommend. He said the Minister of Health should take out all what he put in the stadiums, because they are preparing the Chan or something like that. But still, you know what the Minister of Health said? No, he's waiting for the authorization of he's waiting for the high authorization of the head of state. Firm instruction of the head of state. When you get this type of things in the country, do you think we can really go somewhere? No, I think we are not serious in this country. Okay. No, nobody wants to do anything in this country. So I think what they are doing there, like I told you, I think to me they meet there to eat some biscuit, drink some champagne, and if there are some envelope as per diems, they will take it. I don't expect anything from this type of commission.
All the commission are looking for their pockets, not the problem. Okay. In line with what you just said. Evening, Mr. Liu, enjoy what you guys are doing. The major national dialogue is a total failure. Mr. Liu, you cannot imagine that our currency is all written in French and the bank notes 500 francs is Sino cents francs. The same goes with all pay slips of civil servants, all written in French. Most of things are not working out, okay? Robert, why Robert writing from where? This one reads, My brothers, I'm sorry to say we are going too emotional and on the statement on high instructions from change. It's imminent, but strategizing is paramount. Okay. Good evening to you. I'm Larson from Limbe. Yeah, you are at the point. Good evening. This one says, sir, good evening. Why is that the TV is not on? The TV is on. Actually, we change frequencies. If you are no longer watching us on your TV, we move to 12,333. Our new frequency is 12,333, and symbol rate is 29,999. If you're watching us on social media and you cannot get us on your TV, you change your frequency to 12,333, and a symbol rate 29,999. You're going to get us. This one says, good evening, Mr. Liu and everyone in the studio. The major national dialogue was not serious. Work was done. No serious work was done. So any information given by them may not be tangible. This is Banta John, writing from Tambesi. Tambesi is in Bomenda. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and greetings to your panelists. I'm following your program from Batoke. Take note that this country is managed like a CBDM asset, and they have always succeeded. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. They should stop turning us around. Politics is a game. Derek is writing from Kumba. Good evening to you, Derek. Greetings to Prime R. More grace, Mr. Liu. The program is interesting. Terence is writing from Yaoundé. Greetings to you all in the studio. Good evening to you. Good evening, Mr. Liu. The problem is not the dialogue only, but changing the leaders completely from the present president to ministers and the rest, and God will bring peace. Blessing is writing from Kumba. Good evening to all in the panelists. Good job. I like the program, Mr. Liu. With this present kangaroo system that has put in place, we are not going to have any outcome, even today, tomorrow, and the years to come. The old blood needs to leave the stage for the youth. James Wise is writing from Muya. Mr. Liu, good evening. Okay, Babila writing from Bamenda. Good evening to you all in the studio. The government is only happy seeing the North and Southwesterners dying in their numbers. Metuga is writing from Moliko. This one says, I really appreciate what you guys are doing out there. Your ideas will soon bear fruits. Boise Dega writing from Douala. We have to end at this juncture. We're out of time. We want to say thank you to you, Prince Joel, for coming.
It is always a privilege that we come on board and share ideas. We feel that the media has that very powerful aspect in every country to shape opinions, even though many a time we speak and persons feel that they should not take it. It's a privilege being with you, Mr. Liu.
Okay, Tamai Chavis, we are grateful to have had you today once again.
Thank you. Thanks to the President of Cameroon, Guarantor of National Security, to form a commission to investigate why all the other commissions have failed.
Okay, we call want to thank you, Dr. Mako Jonako.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine. Once more again, I said whenever issues are affecting Cameroon, then it is affecting individual citizens. We share the opinion, and several times when this opportunity is presented, especially on Prime Media or Media Prime, and again on Prime R. Okay. It is always a pleasure sharing with you.
We equally want to say thank you to you and Monkwate for coming.
Thanks, Leo. I was happy to be here today again.
And also to you, Desmond, we say thank you to you, Paul, and to Eli, who is producing the program. Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is not feeling too well, we say we wish you speedy recovery, get back to your feet so that we can once again keep working to move the TV to greater heights. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.